Ladies and gentlemen, before I come to the agenda, I'd like to share with you a few personal considerations to do with 2013 and also with the first months of 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, 2013 was marked by significant changes in Nestlé's business environment, both in Switzerland and in numerous other countries in which your company is active. In Switzerland, amendments to company law have had a direct impact on your company. Difficulties experienced in the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and Latin America have contributed to a general slowdown in growth rates in emerging markets, while in the developed markets, growth has been anemic at best. Once again, and despite this challenging backdrop, Nestlé posted solid growth in all areas of activity, improving its margins and increasing its underlying earnings per share. Our CEO, Paul Bulcke, will present the operational performance of your company in more detail. In line with our long-term policy of ensuring an attractive return for our shareholders, the Board of Directors is proposing a further dividend increase to 2 francs and 15 centimes per share. I would like to pay tribute to the results achieved by our management team under the leadership of Paul Bulcke and through the hard work and dedication of the 333,000 Nestlé employees all over the world. I would like to thank them all on behalf of the Board of Directors, and I am sure on behalf of every one of you. Thank you for all the hard work that has been accomplished. Thank you indeed. And I would now like to hand you over to your CEO, Mr. Paul Bulcke.
Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dear shareholders, each year is challenging in its own way, and this was certainly the case for 2013. Indeed, it was in a difficult trading environment that our company delivered a solid set of numbers with all geographic areas and all categories contributing. We again achieved growth in both emerging and developed markets. Our total group sales amounted to 92.2 billion Swiss francs with organic growth of 4.6%. Our trading operating profit was 14 billion Swiss francs with a margin of 15.2%, up 20 basis points. The group delivered a net profit of 10 billion Swiss francs, and our earnings per share were 3.14 Swiss francs. Our operating cash flow continued to be strong at 15 billion Swiss francs. This is a strong performance in the current environment. I would therefore like to pay tribute to our 333,000 employees around the world, many of whom experienced the difficult challenges firsthand. Their talent, their creativity, their discipline, and their commitment are key to delivering our results, and I would sincerely like to thank them on behalf of all of you. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the results in 2013 showed our determination to grow your company profitably and sustainably, even in an environment of slower growth. to deliver the Nestlé model of average organic growth of 5 to 6%, together with improvements in our trading operating profit margin and earnings per share in constant currencies and in our capital efficiency. Indeed, our average organic growth has been 6.1% over the last 10 years. The actions we took last year reflect Nestlé's focus on both our shorter-term performance, seeking to grow faster than the market, and the longer term. In other words, making the right decisions to ensure sustainable and profitable growth into the future. Thanks to our roadmap, our employees, wherever they are in the world, are aligned behind our strategic directions to be recognized as a leader in nutrition, health and wellness, trusted by all our stakeholders. In 2013, in line with this strategic roadmap, we increased our brand support, we accelerated our innovation, and ensured our pricing was sensitive to consumer needs. These proactive efforts and our determination to grow Nestlé have enabled us to outperform the market again in 2013. But in a world that is changing so fast, this is not enough. It requires an intense focus on ensuring we maintain our competitiveness in the market, on ensuring we continue to grow strongly in the future. That is why we identified a set of priorities which are driving concrete actions in many areas of our business, and why we have taken firm decisions which will increase Nestlé's competitiveness in the long term. First of all, we are looking at our product and brand portfolio and analyzing it through a sharper, stricter lens. We are making choices about where we want to invest, where we want to improve, and the areas in which we wish to divest. With regard to investments, we have implemented several acceleration plans, for instance, for Nespresso, Nescafé Dolce Gusto, and pet care. On the other hand, we decided that our personalized weight management business, Jenny Craig, and our performance nutrition, Powerbar, would be better served by different ownership, so we have divested them. Making such choices enables us to put our people and resources behind our best opportunities. We can focus investment more precisely, move faster, and be more agile and responsive. This results in a product portfolio which is stronger and more profitable. Secondly, we are increasing discipline in our resource allocation in general and in capital more specifically. In 2013, we invested in capacities, capabilities, research and development, and brands at levels that are not only among the highest in our history, but also in the industry. The opportunity for us now is to exploit that investment, to do more with less, to further leverage our assets, our scale, and our capabilities. This will result in lower capital investments and more efficient structures. Finally, we are looking at how we can work in a smarter way, more efficiently, to deliver greater value for consumers and for you, our shareholders. Nestlé's size and global presence give us many advantages. We now have to really exploit this and create further scale benefits and increase competitive advantage. These are the types of actions that we are taking to ensure we will continuously reinforce our group and continue to deliver strong results over time. And then there is how we go about our business. We fundamentally believe that our activities should have a positive impact on society every day, everywhere, that they should create shared value. To prosper, we need to have a long-term view set on a robust series of principles and values that are based on respect. Respect for people and diversity, respect for the environment, and respect for the world we live in. Our approach is increasingly better understood and recognized around the world. And Nestlé is, for instance, included in the FTSE4Good index, holds the #1 spot in Oxfam's Behind the Brand scorecard, and for the first time is the leading food products company in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. These are recognitions that we should be proud of, that motivate us to continue our efforts to be an exemplary corporate citizen. We will continue to measure and identify the ways we connect with society at large and be sensitive to what is expected from us. Ladies and gentlemen, Nestlé's ambition is to enhance the quality of consumers' life through nutrition, health, and wellness. Our approach, based on permanent innovation through science and R&D, is clearly reflected in our offer of day-to-day food and beverages. We reinforced this strategy by extending the boundaries of nutrition with Nestlé Health Science. And now, with the setting up of Nestlé Skin Health, we are extending the boundaries of health and wellness into the field of specialized medical skin treatment. These are important steps for our group and offer us other interesting growth platforms for the future. Our chairman will elaborate on this a little later. Ladies and gentlemen, I can confidently say that Nestlé is ready to face the headwinds which await us in 2014 and beyond, and to grasp at the many possibilities this changing world has to offer. Our company has the right mindset and the right structures. We have the right action plans in place to deliver solid results in the short term and in the long term. And above all, Nestlé has the right people. Each and every one of us shares and pursues a common goal: to continue to make Nestlé the world's leading nutrition, health and wellness company. On this note, I would like to give the floor back to the chairman. Thank you for your attention.
Merci, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, our general meeting today is the first to be held in accordance with the new Swiss legislation relating to corporate governance that came into force in 2014. You will see the effects of this new legislation throughout the course of this meeting, and I will come back to the topic when we reach the corresponding agenda items. You will notice, first of all, that legal aspects have become far more pronounced and far more important. With an agenda that now comprises 25 items for voting, we have been obliged to reorganize the meeting. You have to bear in mind that failure to comply with the rules of governance in Switzerland will in future be a criminal offence, and Switzerland is the only country in the world that has passed such a law. Nowhere else but in Switzerland. While we naturally respect the wishes of the Swiss legislators and will implement these changes, what concerns me today, in addition to the technical aspects, are the potential long-term effects of this new law. The new legislation will have a significant impact on the governance of your company. Certain consequences were foreseeable, to my mind, such as the increased influence of shareholders, i.e. you, also in relation with the compensation or the greater accountability of the chairman and members of the compensation committee, who will in future be elected directly by you, the shareholders. Other consequences, however, were less intended, starting with a transfer of power from boards of directors with a strong Swiss presence to more international shareholders and proxy advisors. In our case, in Nestlé's case, almost 2/3 of our shares with voting rights are held by persons who are domiciled outside Switzerland. Therefore, for most of the Swiss multinationals, the new legislation will mean a not insignificant transfer of power abroad. What is more, the members of the board of directors will from now on be elected on an annual basis. This means that all board members will be able to choose to step down, or all could be replaced at once, whatever the year. As a result, the level of volatility would increase. Besides, this transfer of power from the board of directors to shareholders and the annual elections will encourage a short-term perspective. Only the board of directors has a fiduciary obligation towards our company, and only the board of directors is legally liable for its long-term success. Shareholders are free to pursue their own interests and to adopt a short-term vision in a way that suits them. They may even be competitors in our room, and they are our shareholders nevertheless. This being said, we should not forget that Nestlé's success story, which stretches back almost 150 years, is based on solid long-term commitment. As a result, we are going to reinforce our communication with all shareholders and other stakeholders who, like you, at least I hope so, would like to ensure the continued success of our company. And in our efforts to engage with our shareholders, we must guarantee an equal and fair treatment of all the shareholders, be they Swiss nationals or not. With the new legislation, it is easy to imagine a situation in which the chairman could be tempted to choose his undertakings in a way that secures the votes of major investments who are key to his re-election, whilst neglecting his commitment to the small shareholders. This is not going to happen at Nestlé. Ladies and gentlemen, we have adapted our Articles of Association to the new legislation in a way that should avoid any unintended consequences as far as possible of the Minder initiative. Our main objective has been and always will be to preserve the stability and the competitiveness of our company, your company. The most important question posed by our shareholders throughout the world regarding the consequences of the Minder initiative has been whether we will remain competitive and whether we will continue to be able to recruit the best people in the world. Our answer to that is quite clear. To do that, we need transparency and we need legal certainty. For the say-on-pay voting system and comparison, for example, our proposal of voting on a budget is the best in our view. Only this system will enable us to tell the management team that payment of both their base salary and their bonus for the coming year is guaranteed so long as the correspondent performance is delivered. On the other hand, a retrospective vote on bonuses would, as was suggested by many, would bring considerable uncertainty. But we will also continue to hold a consultative vote on the remuneration report, on the compensation report. So, if the board of directors were to abuse the trust of shareholders in relation to the vote on the budget, shareholders would have the possibility to reject the compensation report a posteriori in a consultative vote and to vote at the same time bindingly against the compensation budget of the following year. In this way, the general meeting, i.e. yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, would have real control of all the elements of the compensation of the board of directors and the executive board, and you will be in a position to express yourselves 3 times on this subject. The first time when approving the budget, the second time when voting the compensation report, and the third time when approving the budget of the following year. 3 times you will have the possibility of expressing your views a posteriori. Ladies and gentlemen, our new articles of association will enable us to maintain the stability that we need for our company to function and ensure our competitiveness. This stability is what has always been one of the greatest values and virtues of the Swiss legal system, and we would like to play our part in preserving this for the sake of the future success of this country and the companies based here. To achieve this, we need the active support of all the shareholders who, like us, want Nestlé to be successful over the long term in accordance with the pledge that we have in our Articles of Association. And I quote, Nestlé shall, in pursuing its business purpose, aim for long-term sustainable value creation. End of quote. That is what is in our Articles of Association, ladies and gentlemen. Your company is one of the most international or globalized companies in existence. Its activities, its shareholders, its employees, and its management are spread all over across the world. And even though if the volume of sales generated in Switzerland accounts for less than 2% of the group's turnover, even though shareholders domiciled outside Switzerland hold more than 2/3 of the shares, and even if we increasingly feel that we are pushed to the outside, Switzerland continues to play a significant and strategically important role in Nestlé's operations. I'd just like to remind you that over the last 10 years, we have invested close to 3.4 billion Swiss francs here in Switzerland. Investments which have made it possible to create 3,900 new jobs in this country, here in Switzerland. Every Nespresso capsule sold wherever in the world has been produced in Switzerland, and a new production facility is currently being built in Romont, which will create a further 400 new jobs in Switzerland. More than 60% of all our research spend is carried out here in Switzerland. And I'd also like to add that Nestlé is focusing on Switzerland in its strategy for the future. The new company, Nestlé Health Science SA, has its headquarters in Vevey, while the new Nestlé Institute of Health Science is based in the campus of the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne. The recently announced Nestlé Skin Health will develop within an international company, Galderma SA, with its headquarters in Lausanne. These long-term strategic decisions were made primarily because of the trust and the confidence we have in this country, the certainty of its legal system, the quality of the economic and social conditions that prevail here, and its political stability. In Switzerland, we employ staff from more than 90 countries, from factory workers to the world's most well-known experts. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to be able to hire them and bring them here from everywhere in the world without restrictions or waiting times. Close to 80% in value of our production in this country is exported abroad, primarily to the member states of the European Union. Barrier-free access to the European market is vital to our industrial activities in Switzerland and for the jobs associated directly or indirectly with all these activities. In the past, the economic and governance model of Switzerland ensured levels of prosperity and stability that were envied throughout the world. However, recent political decisions, in particular the referendum of February 9th on immigration, have led us into a period of uncertainty. Of course, we respect the decision of the Swiss people, and personally, and I've said this time and time again, I can well understand the emotions and the real fears of many people who live in this country. I do not believe, for my part, that the result of the ballot on February 9th was a vote against the bilateral agreement signed with the European Union or against the opening up of Switzerland, but rather a wake-up call that this openness, this generosity of the Swiss people were being abused, which was not sufficiently recognized, acknowledged and tackled by politicians. I remain a fervent supporter of direct democracy, as the Swiss public in the past has succeeded very well in distinguishing between purely ideological issues and the real fundamental questions, and has always made its decisions with a lot of wisdom. We will now closely follow the negotiations undertaken to translate the new article of the Constitution into implementing legislation, and we are confident that practicable solutions will be found. But I must admit, ladies and gentlemen, that I remain concerned to a certain extent regarding the prospects for the Swiss economy over the medium term. Ladies and gentlemen, 2013 was also an important year in terms of the strategic development of your company. During the course of several meetings, your board of directors drafted and approved the broadening of the long-term strategic orientation of the group. Its decision to do so was based on Nestlé's historical competences as a company of nutrition, health and wellness based on science and research. The recent creation of Nestlé Health Science SA and the Nestlé Institute of Health Sciences has reinforced the strategic direction with the aim of helping consumers to live a more healthy life through nutritional solutions, food and beverages, as well as scientific products intended to improve the quality of life. Our contact with consumers, however, have shown us that consumers are taking an increasingly holistic approach to health, one which extends beyond nutrition in the strictest sense of the word. And it's in response to these increasing consumer needs that Nestlé is therefore expanding its activities to include the specialized area of medical skin care. Nestlé Skin Health SA, the new world leader in its sector, will meet the growing demand with regard to skin health, and will be offering a wide range of innovative and scientifically proven products. As I explained, Galderma is the company that will function as the founding base of Nestlé Skin Health SA. The 50% stake in Galderma held currently by L'Oréal will be purchased by Nestlé, an acquisition that is currently in the final phases of approval by various authorities, and Galderma will be integrated into the Nestlé Group as a wholly owned subsidiary, but with its own board of directors. Nestlé will thus acquire a new platform of considerable size for profitable growth. And as we have already announced in detail, once the financial transaction is finalized, Nestlé's stake in L'Oréal will be reduced to 23.29% compared with 29.43% today. So naturally this shareholding is a financial shareholding, but, and I repeat this once again, it's also a strategic shareholding with a long-term focus. Ladies and gentlemen, Nestlé, as the world's leading consumer goods company, Nestlé must adapt continuously to new needs and new consumer demands. Today, consumers are not the consumers of the past. While this does not mean that there are no longer any great development opportunities to be found in food and beverages, you know that if you want to secure a company's leadership over the long term, it is vital that you listen carefully to customers and consumers and, where possible, to anticipate future trends. Listening to the consumer also means being reactive to the expectations of society as expressed through the media, NGOs, governments, etc., and increasingly the private sector and large companies such as ours in particular are being called upon increasingly to contribute to finding solutions to all kinds of problems facing society today. And we have a duty to take up this challenge, and this is precisely what we are about and what we do. The first step towards social commitment is always to create transparency. Our efforts to be an open and transparent company have been recognized by a number of observers, including some highly critical ones, and Nestlé occupies the first place in various important international rankings, as our CEO has mentioned. Transparency goes hand in hand with clear and consistent communication. The annual report you hold in your hands meets again the most demanding requirements, i.e. level A+ of the Global Reporting Initiative. Our commitment is expressed in concrete actions, often with partners in civil society, in areas in which we can really offer solutions, whether we're talking about improved nutrition, rural development and responsible sourcing, efficient water use, environmental sustainability, or respect for human rights. Transparency and commitment. 7 years ago, we formulated the principle of the importance of creating shared value that guides us in our decisions and our actions. It's by creating value for society as a whole that we will ensure our company's long-term success. Ultimately, our prosperity depends on that of the communities that we serve and in which we operate. Dear shareholders, today Nestlé is the largest consumer goods company in terms of sales and also in terms of market capitalization, which puts us among the world's leading companies across all sectors, across the board. The recent strategic decisions I have just described which have been carried out by your management in a rigorous and disciplined manner, have set your company on a clear path towards realizing its aim and ambition to be the world leader in nutrition, health and wellness. Nestlé has a great future ahead of it, and I encourage you to play an active part in this future as our shareholders. On behalf of the Board of Directors and myself, I would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, dear shareholders, for your loyalty and the commitment you have shown and you continue to show our company. You are more than ever more important to Nestlé and its success in creating long-term shared value. Thank you for your attention.